Yeah, like I was saying, you want to be a Muslim, get rid of the idea that you're not. That's one of the simplest things to do. To get rid of that idea that you're a non-Muslim. Muslims is just someone who submits to. That's all it means, really. You submit your submission to God. Islam means the same thing, basically. But you're born being in submission to God, because if it's true, and the premise that Allah created the entire universe and all that's therein, how can you not be a Muslim? How can you be a non-Muslim? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
You know what the antithesis of a Muslim is? It's a kufar. And that means to deny it. The only thing you can do is, Allah gave you the ability to deny it and try to cover it, but you are. It is still the truth.
You can't cover it. I mean, that's an illusion, because
that means you know it's a truth.
Right.
You just don't want to accept it.
It's illusion, because He gave you all of these things. That's why most spiritual philosophies around the world, I don't know about the entire universe, but I know about the world. Most spiritual philosophies in the world centers around the idea. What were we talking about? Because I want to say so many things that slip my way. What was it?
We're talking about being a Muslim and how you were born a Muslim. And we're talking about being a kufar, a kafir is somebody who denies the truth.
Right, okay. So, yeah, that's that. I was going to say everything is temporary. We live in a temporal kind of world, you know. It's just like, that's why we have choice. We were given those choice. The absolute truth is that you are born Muslim. You are born in submission to Allah. You see, you can't change that.
Right.
You are given the illusion to test you, to see if you want to change it. Even a person who doing crime and criminal oppression and injustices, they're still born in submission to Allah. But they chose to follow the illusion, to follow that temporary world, you know what I'm saying? What do we call it? The dunya?
The dunya, that's right.
You know, I've been hearing that word since I was a little kid, you know.
Right.
Because of my Indian ancestry, that's a word in Urdu.
Oh, okay. When they say dunya.
Yeah, and it's an Arabic word too, and it means basically the same thing. So it's all temporary. That's why I had to go through, as I understand it now, I had to go through all these different spiritual concepts in order to understand how temporary things are. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How temporary it is. And the only thing that matters and the only thing that stays forever is that absolute truth. That's the only thing that survives, that's going to survive this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, religion has painted what we call heaven or Jannah. We have painted it with, religion has painted it with all these fancy things, you know, that enhances your desires. What do you call it in Islam? Nafs.
Yes.
Yeah, it enhances that. It's like, I've heard Muslims say, I'm doing this for the rewards. So if there wasn't no reward to have, would you still do it? You see what I'm saying? So which means these things have been put in front of you to encourage you to have these desires and to keep your nafs alive, to keep your desires alive. The only desire we should really have and the one that's fruitful, what's going to remain fruitful, is not believing that this is permanent. You see what I'm saying? There's a permanent something elsewhere. This is just an illusion. The Hindus have it, the Muslims have it, Christians have it, that this earth is illusional. But we're so caught up in the temporal aspect of our life that we forget that something is responsible for us being here. And we can call it all kinds of things. You know, the Buddhists call it everything, divine intelligence, this, that, and third, and you know. And they paint God in some, you know, they give us the word God, and you know, God doesn't even, God doesn't even come into play. What is God? Who is God? When is God? Why is God? You know, what is actually, why do we use that word? We use these words because we learn those. Those are in the language of our person. We try to contain Allah in that, and it does not work. And until the day comes when we realize that doesn't work, then you're going to start thinking. One thing you got to keep remembering as a person who is a new Muslim or wannabe Muslim, there's a few things, and I'm going to quote Haile Selassie for you for that. He was a Christian. But until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, we're going to have war. You see, until bigotry and prejudice and inhuman activities are not controlled and not getting rid of, we're going to fight war. We're going to have wars forever until that last final hour when we have to realize you understand it's at an end. You know, and if you think that all those thousands and thousands and thousands of people who died before, going for thousands and thousands of years, remember this one thing: 1,000 years in the eyes of Allah is like a day. It's like a minute. So all the millions of people who died before, if you think you're going to get away, no, they all have to. You know, there's got to be a judgment time, and there's got to be a separation of things, you know, and who's going to go where and who's going to go where. That's why we have hell and heaven.
Let me add this too, because I don't want this to stop. This bad was a judge all the way. So, you are the only person that read the film.
Huh?
You are the person that had to change the battery for. Yeah. I wanted to add this. So you have been in business for yourself your whole life.
Pretty much.
What things have you sold, do you sell, and how are people able to find those things if they want to purchase something from your company?
Are we going to do a business side? Is this what it is?
Just put that on there. If people listen to the video and they find some inspiration in it, at least we can add to it.
Okay. The idea to be my own boss is, I never like bosses. I don't like people telling me what to do. Yeah, that comes from my revolutionary training, you know, as a young man. And that comes from also from the fact that I grew up very poor. And that also comes from family background. My grandfather was a businessman. And I always thought I could make a lot of money. I did and I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I was able to live comfortably in some ways. But the thing I like to do, I like to make stuff. I love making stuff, arts and craft. And currently I paint and I draw and I do stuff like that. I love doing that. You know, it gives me a peace of mind. It gives me I admire the work that I do. Sometimes I sit back and I look at it and go, I did that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm still in awe of what I do. I'm not a professional by any means. You know what I'm saying?
So where can they find your art?
Currently, I do some eBay stuff, you know, and you can go search it out on, it's called Narad Art, you know, you can look for that.
How you spell it?
Huh?
How you spell it?
Oh, Naradart. And my Facebook page is the same thing. And my Facebook page is under the name Ravin. But I'm not going to tell you my last name. You're going to have to find that out when you visit it.
Right. So on your eBay page, is it jewelry on there as well?
Oh yeah, there's T-shirts that with my artwork that I've printed, and there's books that I had an extensive library, and I can no longer contain it. I can't no longer. There's things, artifacts and stuff that I've collected over 40 years, and I just don't want to have it anymore. Somebody else can benefit off it, so I'm selling them relatively cheap, you know.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I would say I hate using the word new Muslim. You know? What's a new Muslim? I would say, Alhamdulillah, thanks you all for actually paying attention or listening to me and my rantings and ravings. It may be beneficial to some of you, it may be useful to some of you, it may not be. One way or the other, I'm going to leave you with these words. I don't really care. You know, you can do whatever you want to do with it, believe it or not. You know, at the end of the day, I am going to be who I am, and you are going to be who you are.
You know, I just thought of, just to end this, you said, you know, when I say new Muslim, what Imam Farid used to say is conscious Muslim. People are unconscious Muslims, and then you become a conscious Muslim. Because even people who were born in Muslim countries, I told you about an Imam that I know, he was a Muslim his whole life, but he didn't become a conscious Muslim until he was maybe 30 years old. And he realized, you know, this is true. I'm not just doing this salat and fasting and all this stuff because everybody in my country is doing it,
Right.
but it's the actual truth. In that moment, he became a conscious Muslim. Or maybe that may be something that we can use in the future instead of saying new Muslim. You know, if we believe that.
Right. I think that would be more appropriate
right.
in the sense that there's people out there who they want to be.
Right, they understand. They get a point where they understand themselves and what their purpose is in life.
But just remember though, this is not an attitude of holier than thou. You know?
Right.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it and put it really. You know, don't come and act like you know you found Islam, so you've been that all your life. You know. You know, so don't. Maybe now you're waking up, you're becoming conscious of it.
Right.
But suddenly you get this, you know, like you get this angelic behavior.
Right.
You know, just be who you are, man. Be what you are. Be what you talk.
Be your natural self.
Yeah, be your natural self. You know, that's being a Muslim to me.
Right.
Be your natural self. Don't put on no airs. Don't. You know. Again, I would add, you know, some of the most beautiful women in the world that I've seen is a Muslim woman in his hijab.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been attracted to that, you know, that kind of woman who modestly dressed for no real reason, for no apparent reason that it just attracts me.
Right, because of their modesty,
right, exactly.
They're covering themselves because they value themselves. You know, that's something that's attractive within itself.
Yeah. So for my sisters out there who are listening, don't let your last day be the first day. You put your hijab on.
Right. All right, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.